Vegas Bad Boy of Podcasting is an entertainment-based wrestling program. The opinions shared are that of the host and their guest. Some celebrity voices are impersonated and usually not well. This program is not intended for kids and certain adults. Listeners' discretion is advised. You have been warned. Now let's get ready to podcast. Hey. Welcome to another edition of Vegas BadBoyz of Podcasting. I am your host, Mr. DJ Impact, and we got a big show for you tonight. You're also going to hear the interview we had with Buggy Nova, and we're going to talk a little bit about the unfortunate tragedy that happened in London over the weekend towards the end of the show. But before we do all that, let me introduce to you the BadBoyz, Sin City Steve. How you doing?
Well.
That's what I'm talking about. King Lucky.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Matt Michaels.
You're both fuckwads.
Well.
You know? And we have Simon Street slowly working its way over. So
Maybe.
possibly. He's here in spirit.
He's on assignment.
There you go. Let's get right into the 3 count. It's time. Vegas BadBoyz of Podcasting present
1, 2, 3.
Count Talk.
Count Talk, baby.
Okay, first one for tonight. It's no secret that WWE's viewership numbers has fallen, and there's a lot of speculations as to why this may be. But there was one that kind of stood out after reading everyone's, and the one I read talked about how WWE changes their plans incredibly frequently, and they have the stats to prove it. Who had the stats to prove it? Mr. Brian Alvarez from the Wrestling Observer. Now, what he found out, and I quote, from 2018 to April 2019, over 1 year, for this, WWE did a total of 237 announcements on their social media for both Raw and SmackDown. And out of those 237 announcements, only 95 of them took place. Others were either entirely canceled or modified. And then he also tweeted out on April 22nd, Raw script just finalized 4 minutes before airtime.
Whoa.
Guys, what's going on? Is this maybe the main issue as to what's happening with the numbers that we're seeing? Sin City Steve.
Without a doubt, man. I think that it goes back to, the continuity from week to week.
Mm-hmm.
When things are getting changed up on the fly as much as they are.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vince has been he's had his mitts in absolutely everything since the beginning. Mm-hmm. Since he took over the company from his father.
Right.
But only as of late has it kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
And he's made comment as such that, our viewers have short-term memories, and they're not gonna pick things up from week to week. And, I find it really funny.
Yeah.
That WWE themselves were hiring for a continuity editor on their own website. So you could go and you could apply to be a continuity specialist for WWE.
Wow.
Now, the thing is, keep in mind, that would be essentially working right alongside of Vince McMahon and the powers that be in WWE. And whenever things change and get out of control, and things are getting made up on the fly, then that person would be the one to put the stop to it. I wouldn't want to be that person. Let's put it that way.
It seems like they've already gotten rid of the one of the head writers that was for Raw. Also, Road Dogg, I heard, was let go from headliner for SmackDown. Although, so I guess he's still affiliated, but we don't know what he's doing. Maybe he takes out the trash or something, out of the office, clear, help the desk or whatever. But yeah, there seems to be a lot going on in the writing staff. I mean, guys, what's happening here?
But you know what doesn't get changed?
What's that?
Is NXT. So while the main product frequently flip-flops, NXT is consistent, right? Smarksville's coming.
You know why that is, though, Luck, right?
That's because of the game.
No, it's because they tape 5 weeks of TV at a time.
Yeah.
And it's a
Well,
one-hour
it's also
show.
because of the game. Yeah. It's also because of the game. I mean, if you let Triple H take over and run the main product, you wouldn't be having this, I'll be honest with you. Vince has kind of lost touch with the fans in the WWE universe. And so for me, I think it's time for the old man to step aside. I love him.
Yeah.
He gave me the biggest love of my life, which is the product.
Yeah.
But it is time for him to step aside.
Your wife hears that one.
Well, what do you think, man? What's going on, man?
I think these two are fucking morons.
Okay, I figured you might say that.
It's just, listen. Well, how are we gonna whine and complain? The product's just not good. Oh, Russell Barr, how was that good? Like, why?
But
Why?
But the bottom line is that the numbers are showing. So where's that coming from?
So the fact is, with the ratings going down,
Okay.
I mean, listen, this happened in 2004 and 2005. It's wrestling. It ebbs and flows, guys. Simple.
Has it been this bad?
I could go back to 1995 and look at the fucking money books there. Y'all have short-term memory. Fucking Vince is right. Holy shit. It fucking ebbs and flows. That's what wrestling is. And people are going to...
But,
See,
I mean...
the thing is, though, but you guys are still watching, right?
Yeah.
True.
So people like us are going to continue watching. If you stop watching it, it's not the fan who's a diehard that he's losing the money. He's losing money from people who, and this is natural, this is why wrestling does ebb and flow, and that is when you hit the ages of 15 to about 25, there's a lot of times that watching wrestling is not your priority, getting a piece of ass to ride on your dick, that's a priority, and a lot of times, wrestling is one of those stereotypes that people look at as, I'm not going to get laid because I'm a wrestling fan,
I get that, but even when you go back saying the 2004, 2005, the numbers were low. Okay, then what about from 2006 to 2018? I mean, the numbers are great.
The numbers were not great. The numbers
Well, they're better than where they're at now.
See, you say that, but can you pull up those numbers right now?
Yeah, let me add something else to my magic over here.
See, you're making an argument without a basis. The basis is that
I'll stand down.
If you do go back and you look at the ratings were not spectacular at all. They were struggling. And then they started building out a little bit. And then they started dropping a little bit. You're going to get this all the time. This is the nature of it.
At the same time, though, if the story is true that you have a script laid out, and no matter what, it seems at the very last minute you're going, nope, I want to change my mind. I'm tearing it up.
They've been doing that for years.
Well, let me
look at your shocked face. You looked at me like I just broke your heart.
Well, let me ask you this. If it is true that you are finalizing a script 4 minutes before the show starts,
right?
Doesn't that give way to some inconsistency and some
I would think so.
volatility?
Wait, by the way, I thought we were like telling a story, right? There's a story that's being told. It should go for a period of time, and if you're changing something that quick, somehow the story is going to get thrown off. Would you not say?
Well,
which can cause some confusion as to what I'm watching. Why this particular match?
What are you confused about?
All right, man. I'm standing down. I'm standing down.
saying.
Here we go. Sin City, go, please.
So just to retort to what you were saying, Matt.
Okay.
If you're wondering just how bad ratings are,
Okay. Please tell them.
and when you see headlines about Raw having the lowest rating in 20 years or in the history of the modern era, blah blah blah. So you said 2006, right? That was
in that era.
okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: let's start back in 2001. Okay. So this isn't something that's just now started. This is something that has been going down over time. So, for instance, in 2001, average rating 4.64. 2002, 4.01. 2003, 3.76. 2004, 3.67. Then 2005, it actually bumped up a little bit. Okay, 2005 was 3.81. 2006, 3.9. 2007, 3.61, and then we start to see the numbers fall off. 3.27, 3.28, so roughly they're right around the same. Then 3.21, 3.0, 3.0, again, 2.95, 2.64, 2.26, 2.17. So
one of the things I think that's important when we look at ratings, right? Your attention now is just so divided. There is now more things than ever to watch, to subscribe to click on.
Right.
And thank you for subscribing to this show and listening. But I can understand the reason why the ratings would decline because there's more content to watch out there.
Okay.
However, the one thing that, and I guess I'm not worried too much about the ratings declining because the attendance is still there. The merchandise is still being purchased.
Well, and you also forget that you got WWE Network.
This is true.
You got the old fucking network. And the other thing, too, is a lot of people will watch on devices that are not
Unconventional.
Yeah, well, and not legal sometimes.
And that's true.
I mean, let's be fair about it. So,
well, let me ask you this: so, is Fox going to be okay with having a 1 point something rating or a 1.9 rating?
But Fox is going to be irrelevant because once the contract's up, network television is not going to be the same. Yeah,
Okay.
Everyone's freaking out about this Fox thing, and
Well, I'm just kind of curious. I think as a network, they want to see numbers. That's why they decided to want to have this show on their network, is because it's going to pull strong numbers. And if we're not looking at these numbers,
and we're looking at these numbers on USA on cable.
that's true.
Yeah. So,
But if you're getting,
you're talking about a difference between a subscription television,
true,
and over-the-air broadcast.
but I would think, and that, of course, I'm not one of the executives of Fox, but if you're showing me that you can do a 2.5 and a 3 on subscription television, then I'm thinking, I want to see a 6 or a 7 when you hit over my network. But if you're not pulling that numbers in subscriptions because it's dropped low,
here's the deal.
I'm just playing.
Here's the deal.
I'm just playing a little devil's advocate here.
All right. Steve just gave those numbers,
Sure.
right? And that was a long history of numbers, right?
True.
So if you're Fox and you know that history of numbers and you signed that deal, then who fucking cares? Because you're a retard at that point. Oh, no. I said it. I used the Eugene word. Oh no.
Damn.
Dump button. Wow. But, that's what it comes down to. They're the ones who signed this deal, and that's the progress of those numbers. So, to me, this whole, it's creating a false narrative of freak out. And everyone wants to find fault.
Yeah.
Now, as part of that freak out, having wild card spots after you just did a roster shakeup.
Right.
So is that part of a freak out?
How do you know that wasn't planned?
How do you know it was planned?
I don't.
Well,
The
neither
same
do
way,
I, right?
Right. So is that a freak out, or is that Vince just going, I'm going to try something different?
2 minutes before the show, right?
Possibly.
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 It's his product.
Now, based on
Yeah, it
intel that
That
we've
doesn't mean
done,
you always going to get it right.
And by the way, 2 minutes before the show, let's think about this, guys. If it happened 2 minutes before the show, why were those SmackDown guys there?
Yeah.
It's a different brand. They're in a different city. Why are they there? It didn't happen 2 minutes before the show. I call bullshit. I think that people out there are creating a narrative.
Okay. I hear you.
And that's what we're seeing. We're creating.
Well, by the way, the quote I read didn't say this past show with the wild card was 2 minutes. It was just saying that I think it was the April 22nd show. That one was called right before the show. So this one probably was planned out. It could have been.
And based on the data that we have, like, we ran a poll on our Facebook page and on our Instagram page.
Yeah.
People are not a fan of it, of the wild card.
Yeah.
But the numbers show it.
Well, because, all 5 people are, and that means people start doing these polls. You see them out there, do them, because we like the information. And, otherwise I'm just going to rag on you for not doing it. But the fact of the matter is that you've got people who are not used to something, who are going to complain about every little thing that goes on.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. To some point, I do agree with that statement. Even though I may have my gripes with the product, I still spent $750 to walk inside MetLife Stadium. For WrestleMania.
I was with you. So.
And I also spent my money to go to Royal Rumble, which had bad lighting, and I had bad lighting at a pay-per-view before that, but I still spend the money because I love the product. So to Matt Michael's point, yes, there are things that are bad, but we're still going to pay the money and we're still going to enjoy the product.
Even with AEW, if AEW is successful, there is room for success. That's the whole thing.
Right.
You look at Impact. Impact's doing great in terms of their product, but people are not watching it because it's on Pursuit.
Right.
And the way you're watching it is through Twitch, really.
Right.
So, as people discover that, then, and discover that the product is getting way better, then it gives a little momentum. But is it a competition? No. I think AEW is going to be great. They're going to be very, very, open-minded. There's going to be new stuff that you're seeing. But is it competition directly? No. And if they go about it as direct competition, it's going to fold in 3 years.
Definitely. But to your point, I fell in love with wrestling and started going to the live shows. And I love the pyro, right? That's my thing.
Right.
And I was spoiled by the pyro. But now AEW probably recognized that. And what did they do with their press conference? Huge amount of pyro. I'll be interested to see when those doors open for Double or Nothing if they've got a whole lot of pyro. And I'll be very, very happy.
And then you're sold. And then you're sold.
I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm all in.
Somebody give this man some fireworks, please.
Yeah, they did them at WrestleMania, bro.
They did do it at WrestleMania.
And that's why you paid $750 to get into MetLife Stadium.
I paid $750 for the fireworks. And I got my fill.
One other thing, just to kind of piggyback onto that, something that WWE has been doing that they recently stopped with the last edition of Monday Night Raw was before the East Coast feed would even be over, they would be uploading segments to their YouTube channel and to various sources. So I don't watch the East Coast feed.
You're almost WCWing yourself by doing that.
Exactly.
Hey, guess what? Seth Rollins just lost the belt, and it's on Instagram.
Right.
Well, I don't need to watch the show.
Exactly.
Now.
Why tune in?
Yeah.
What's the point? So one thing that they started doing, I believe it was with this past week's episode, was that they are now waiting until both the East Coast and the West Coast feeds are done before they upload those clips to YouTube. So I'm really interested to see if that has any kind of an effect on moving the needle on the ratings.
I think it will. I absolutely think it will. Because there's some people that don't even want to watch the show at that point. If you have it spoiled for you, you don't want to watch the show. You're like, oh, I'll just get the recap and then I'll keep going.
Absolutely. Well, let's go into our second count. Okay. Sin City, you're going to have to help me on this one, okay? Great news here. Chris Jericho's back. Not that he ever left, right? He's got a show, New Japan Pro Wrestling, June 9th, the Dominion show against Okada. Now, this guy, Jericho's going to be paid 6 figures for that weekend. I mean, that's pretty big, right?
It's impressive.
Okay. And Sports Illustrated, which is where this story is coming from, have learned that Okada was so frustrated by his Ring of Honor payday from the MSG show that he is unlikely to ever return to the promotion. Wow. Now, this is interesting, right? Now, allowing Jericho to sign a 3-year pact with AEW, here's the question. It just seems to believe this could be a brilliant way to recruit New Japan to move away from ROH and instead work for AEW. That's the way it's kind of looking to me. Steve, what do you think, man?
So I agree 100%. And it's not a sudden thing. It's something that if you've had your eyes on the ROH product for a while now, you know and you recognize it and you see it. The combined shows, the joint shows that ROH did with New Japan Pro Wrestling, would always favor New Japan in terms of match quality, in terms of work rate, blah, blah, blah. I know, Matt Michaels, you're probably rolling your eyes over there at me right now. But
he's always rolling his eyes.
Oh, I know.
Right, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it became a very one-sided sort of a business relationship. At first, when ROH had the deals with the guys from AEW, it was a joint venture. It was mutually beneficial,
right, for
both companies. But as we saw a mass exodus from ROH out the door, things are not quite as bright. On that side of things. And I think that ROH, given the losses and talent that they've had, I think that they are pivoting and that they are trying to do as much damage control as possible. And realistically, they are putting on good events, good shows. However, you've got the shiny new toy in AEW,
right,
and you've got these guys like Chris Jericho, that they carry, their name carries weight.
Sure.
So of course, New Japan, they've wanted to get into the American market for a long time,
right?
But I think that now the higher ups in New Japan are enamored with AEW and the possibility of a business relationship with them, depending on how things go with Jericho.
Is it all about the money? Apparently.
I wouldn't say so much that it's all about the money. I would say that it's about visibility, and mutual benefit.
Okay.
So,
I don't know, Matt. Oh boy, I thought I thought he was asleep over there. Was you dreaming? Okay.
I'm sorry. We're talking about Kobayashi? Is that what it was?
Well, Okada was the name, but...
I'm sorry. Either way, I think he's got a shot this year at the Hot Dog Championship. I don't know. It's a couple months away still, so I think it'll be fine. Whatever. Listen, if you have money and you can throw the money that way, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's it. It's as simple as that. I mean, the one thing that I think that AEW brings is a bigger pocketbook, which means that guys now have, people are going to use the word leverage, but I think that now people are going to use ego. And just say, I deserve to be paid this. And I'm not going to sign for less than this. So, you know what? In the end, will it...
So is ROH doomed, pretty much? I mean...
Doomed? They run on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only bring in the New Japan guys, once in a blue moon.
Sure.
So, you look at them, they're they're in fine shape.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
Yeah.
I would they do better if if things were different? Of course, of course. But we are reaching. I don't want to say a saturation point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are only so many pieces to the pie.
Right.
And when everybody is seated at the table, you can use all the cliches in the world to describe it.
Sure.
But your pool of wrestling fans, unless there's some mega boom period that hits, you're not going to be growing that market exponentially. So all of these companies are going to be scrambling for as much market share as they can possibly have.
That makes sense. Cool. You have anything to say, or you good? You good? All right. 3. Okay, look here. We don't talk much about MLW, but they are making moves. Even without a TV deal, they have 60,000 subscribers that watch their weekly episode in the entirety on YouTube. Not to mention, their channel has over 3.8 million views. Now, their broadcast a week ago had their first Latina to executive produce American Pro Wrestling, and that's Selena De La Renta, who will be on our show in a couple of weeks or so. So definitely keep listening. They also just signed the Von Erichs, along with recently announcing Austin Aries. Folks, is there room from MLW on the table? I know we just talked about how everyone wants a piece of the pie here. Where does MLW fit sort of in this wrestling world here?
Well, without question, I'm definitely interested.
Okay.
They've got a lot of great characters that go through that system there, and now what you have with the executive producer,
Right.
Selena De La Renta.
Yes.
It is going to give a different perspective.
It is.
And it's going to put some different storylines out there. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Diversity is important,
Always.
to have that. And that's why it's good to come from different angles as well. See, not to jump back into what we were talking about at the beginning with Vince, but with Vince just being the guy who runs and makes sure that all the writing is correct. Now it's coming from a different perspective when you have Selena Latina running it, and the show turns out great. So that just shows how it's important to have that diversity from a woman's perspective or from a Latina perspective. I don't know. What's your take on it, Matt Michaels? MLW. Is there room for them, or is it just too much wrestling?
Oh, no. It's absolutely the sky's the limit. Again, they're building their product from the internet up.
Mm-hmm.
No TV deal.
Yeah.
So, basically, they got guys like Jim Cornette working on it now.
Okay.
Austin Aries just yesterday. He's coming back.
Pretty big.
Yeah, because bumped into Austin a couple months back. He said he was working on things, and when it hit, it was going to hit big.
Right.
Because he was basically wouldn't have to come back to wrestling unless it was on his terms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're doing things the right way. They're growing their radio network. Is another thing that's phenomenal. So you have a very good base to build from. I don't think it's too much wrestling because it's opportunities. That's the other thing too, is you're not getting guys locked into just one company.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it gives them other opportunities, and that's totally fine by me.
Yeah. Sin City Steve.
I definitely think that there is room for MLW at the table. A couple of things just to kind of housekeeping things. They do technically have a TV deal. MLW Fusion airs on BN Sports, but the problem is that nobody gets BN Sports. It's just about as useless as Pursuit. So
right.
when you have a TV deal that no one watches, do you really have a TV deal?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you do in this sense. See, and this is where the whole fuck up here is we think globally because we're thinking TV deal is a big entity. The important thing is that network reaches the base area of where they run their shows. That's how they get their houses. So it does matter from that aspect, but in terms of competing, no,
Right.
it
Definitely
doesn't
understand.
exist. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think that they're going about it the right way, though.
Yeah.
They recognize the fact that BN Sports is offered in about 77 million homes as of 2018. But there's a current stalemate right now with Comcast and Xfinity, which is dating back to July of last year.
Yeah.
So that number is even less at this point. So they're doing definitely the right thing by releasing their shows on YouTube and on the internet. And as you said, building from the internet up. So that's definitely a smart thing. And the guy that's running MLW is not a noob to wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever nomenclature that you want to use. The guy that's running MLW is Court Bauer, who was a writer for WWE for years.
Okay.
And was on the creative team for a while. And the thing is, he launched the promotion actually back in 2002.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So MLW has actually been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
He launched it in 2002, and he rebranded it as a radio and podcasting network in 2011 before reviving the promotion in 2017.
Okay.
So the second iteration of MLW is a nice breath of fresh air, as it were. So that's huge. But yeah, definitely they've got the right pieces in place. You've got Selena De La Renta, who, as we've talked about, I mean, we can't say enough good things about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be really interesting to see how everything unfolds with that. And also, it got a nice little boost from Conan in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I think that they need to own their base, and they need to, I don't want to say exploit it, but they need to take 100% advantage while they have the captive audience that they have.
Right.
So,
Do you think the fans, the 60,000 subscribers they have, is that just it's just another alternative that fans that enjoy wrestling just want to enjoy, or is these possibly people frustrated with other wrestling programs they watch and want to come over here because it's something that they enjoy more?
who doesn't like choice? Who doesn't want a choice? If you become disillusioned with one product, that's why I've said repeatedly during this show that there's enough room at the table as of right now for MLW, and for All Elite Wrestling, and for New Japan Pro Wrestling in the American market. And that is because you have many wrestling fans that have become disillusioned with the current modern day WWE product.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. You can say that it's because of the lack of continuity. You can say whatever you'd like. I mean,
I think that's a little bit unfair, though, in this aspect of it. And that is, people nowadays, because of social media, this gives an opportunity to follow certain wrestlers. So it's not necessarily that the companies, doing anything better than what WWE's doing. But if you want to see Von Erich kids, and you're a Von Erich fan, you're going to turn into MLW. If you want to see Jeff Cobb, you're going to watch ROH.
Right.
If you want to see, Cody Rhodes, you're going to watch AEW. It's giving an alternative for the fans to follow their favorite wrestlers to those promotions.
Okay.
And not necessarily the fans being diehard fans of a promotion. Because if, let's say Cody goes back to WWE. Let's say the AEW thing, all of a sudden he's like, you know what? We're good. I'm cashing it in. He goes back to WWE. People are going to follow him back there. Or if, Jeff Cobb gets a contract to go to AEW, people who are fans of Jeff Cobb are going to follow him to AEW. Because you get the choice now of following your favorite wrestlers. And that's why you have all these great cross promotions, it's not necessarily that the companies are cross promoting, but you're allowing your talent to do other shows, including small independent shows at
Right.
the gym in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
People can go see someone who's on TV and they're a fan of, and then that translates following that person for the rest of your life possibly.
Yeah.
So there's more brand specific to the wrestler now
Yeah.
than there was before, because in the old days what would happen is, unless they were established and go from territory to territory, or when Vince started taking over the territories, then you had the character in the WWF, right?
Yeah.
Well, if they'd leave the WWF, you'd then have to go to WCW, and now they're debuting you as the Shark or the Booty Man. So are you following that because it's not branded name? You're not following that person over. And that's the smart thing that they've been doing recently, and that is allowing wrestlers to create their own brand on their own. And the internet has done that. This is the new wave of how things are being done.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
All right, cool, guys. Well, that's the 3 count. When we come back, we're going to play the interview we had with Buggy Nova. And following that, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've seen on TV and the tragic event that happened in London this past weekend. We'll be right back.
Vegas Bad Boys are podcast, and we'll be back in a moment.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Simon Street with the Vegas Bad Boys of Podcast. Want to let everybody know that on Saturday, June 1st, 7 p.m., Future Stars of Wrestling present to you High Octane, Calm Before the Storm. Ticket prices include first row, $27, general admission, $17. All taxes and fees are included. For more information on purchasing tickets or information on the event, please go to www.futurestarsofwrestling.com or call 702-742-8770. Again, Saturday, June 1st, 7 p.m., Future Stars of Wrestling present to you High Octane, Calm Before the Storm. Why hear about the future when you can witness it yourself? Hope to see you there.
Now back to Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting.
I'm excited. She is formerly known as Skylar Moon from NXT. We have Buggy Nova.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Buggy?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right into the weird lifestyle it is being someone who came into professional wrestling at a younger age. And how did you first of all get into the direction of wrestling, and why did you find yourself drawn to it?
Well, like a lot of professional wrestlers, I grew up watching it, of course. And funny thing is, I never knew that was possible. Kind of like you watch TV and I was never a kid who wanted to be on TV or wanted to be a pro wrestler. I could love it and appreciate it. But what made me think even that maybe I could actually do this, I had a friend who I went to school with in middle school and high school, who was the little sister of Shelly Martinez, you guys may know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so we, as kids, we would go and see these local indie shows that she would do. And we made some mutual friends back in, MySpace days, where, mutual friends, you connect, and hey, you're so-and-so, let's do this. One of her buddies hit me up to be a part of their faction for AWS, Alternative Wrestling show here in SoCal. And so I started off doing just that, being a manager, ballet, kind of behind the scenes, shooting and acting and modeling and this kind of thing. And then it was probably a year later when Bart Kapitsky from AWS encouraged me, and when I say encouraged, I mean forcefully made me train, because I was like, no, I don't want to be a wrestler, I'm not. That's like, it was really intimidating to me, and I didn't see myself doing it. But he said, he really coaxed me into it and said, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But it's good to know the basics. As a manager, as a valet, if you're going to be around the ring, you should know at least the basics, the fundamentals. And I go, okay, fine, I'll do it. and after, I think like the first day, I really like fell in love with it. The first day, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to be here forever now. This is my thing.
Was it a culture shock to you, or should I say a shock to your body when you started first taking the bumps, running the ropes, and
oh my gosh, yeah, I was bruised up. I getting dressed up and the pretty parts, the pretty side. I've been playing soccer like most of my life, and volleyball and softball. I was really into just sports in general growing up. So I like a challenge, and I liked that it was. Plus, I also get to dress up and be pretty or be creepy or be sexy, So it was just like love at first sight.
And you said you wanted to kind of get involved into a little bit of like the acting and modeling and that aspect of entertainment. So were you able then to pick up on, in terms of valeting, you already got a little taste of that live audience and a little bit of the psychology that goes into it. Was it something that as soon as you then started getting a little ring experience, the translation and connection between the two started coming together for you, so you knew, okay, I see, why this is important, and, why, maybe you would do something here that you would, otherwise maybe not ever, think of doing, but feeding off that crowd, it's something that would lead you that way.
Yeah, I think so. I was lucky enough to have the trainers that I did, the Ballard brothers, who really helped me shape my character and really taught me the fundamentals and the psychology behind the meaning behind a move or a punch or a kick or, a look that you give to the audience. And with the modeling and the acting stuff that I played around with beforehand, I kind of knew I knew what kind of character I wanted to be. And I was really lucky enough to have the trainers that I did to help me develop that even further and help me listen to the crowd. Because a lot of the time you get in there and you're just like so focused on the match, or you're so focused on yourself or the opponent that you kind of forget about the audience and their reaction. And really, that's why we do it, is for the people. We that's who we do it for. So I was lucky enough to have trainers to put that in my head and at an early stage in my training.
And at that point, did you see yourself going anywhere, or were you happy with just, because I know the Cali scene, I was there for 20 years and had experience with the wrestling scene in California, and I know that it's like a family and it's like a safe little place. Did you see yourself potentially, going to a major company, or did you just enjoy what you were doing and learning and just having fun being, in your early 20s, going through a wild experience?
Right. That's pretty much what it was. I think it upset my family a lot that they were like, what the hell are you doing with your life? I'm just getting beat up. That's what I'm going to do. And, when you're 20, you think you know everything and everything's going to be fine and everything will work out and you're going to be 21 forever, so who cares?
Right.
I thought about, what the end game might be, just because, from my parental standpoint, they're like, what is the end game? So they really like drove that into my head, and I honestly I couldn't see myself being a diva, you know, the
Right.
WWE diva. I would never think that they would want me, and I think that's where like my insecurities really got the best of me, but I was okay with it. It was like, that's not me. I'm not that cookie cutter, you know, Kelly, and
Right.
yeah, that's not me, and I'm good with it. I'm cool with it. Like, I don't know if they want a Mohawk girl there, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe TNA, you know, and that's more of my style, I think, is what I was thinking back then. But mostly, I was just like, when is the next road trip? Where is my next show going to be? What am I going to do? I was really excited and just really living in the moment. And if I had to think about it, I was like, oh, you know, I was insecure and like maybe TNA, but really it's just, I was having so much fun and just loving what I was doing at the time.
And with that, when you were in high school, you said you played sports and stuff. Was the punk persona, was this something that you were living at that point? So when you know, got finally a chance to break away, did you know, incorporate into your character the darkness and the you know, angst that you personally had, or was that strictly a character?
That was totally me. that was my look. But, you know, because when I was training, I mean, I walked into the ring looking like that. You know, I didn't change my hair. I didn't change my makeup. But my trainers, what they suggested is just, you know, be yourself, but turn it up a notch.
Yeah.
So, like, my makeup in the ring might be more exaggerated, or my clothes might be, you know, a little more exaggerated as well. But I was definitely that anxious, like angsty teen, and with the bracelets and the crazy hair. And I mean, that mohawk was really an accident. What happened was, you know, when you're a crazy high school kid and full of like a lack of coping mechanisms, you just usually take it out on yourself. This is what I did with my hair and with myself, you know, at the time. So the mohawk was like, I shaved like a little bit of my head. It was like one of those nights where you're up at like 3 a.m. listening to like, you know, I don't know, Ozzy Osbourne or whatever I was listening to. And just like, oh, my parents don't understand me, and just cutting my hair. And then eventually it was just like more and more. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to shave my head. So maybe I'll do the other side. It was just a hack job. I did it with scissors. Like, I didn't have like a razor blade or like, you know, your dad's, whatever boys cut their hair, you know, like that short buzz cut.
Yeah.
I was using like little kid scissors I had left over with like next to my crayons in my bathroom.
Oh, man.
And my mother was not happy the next morning. So eventually, you know, she took me to some place to like get it cleaned up. But anyways, yeah, that was me in high school. And so like when I got into wrestling, it was really a place where that look was embraced. And they're like, yes, this is awesome. Let's work with this. Let's, you know, develop this. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm not, you know, being shamed for being a weirdo. I could be a weirdo, and it's great.
And Buggy, where'd your affinity for clowns come from?
Oh, you mean like ever since I was born, or like, did you say how did you even know I love clowns?
Yeah,
where did it come from?
Yeah, where did it come from?
Well, okay, so I actually had this conversation with a friend not too long ago where we were talking about, you know, horror movies and characters, and it's one of those weird things that like I don't know if I could explain it, but I remember being little, I have a vivid memory of like watching a scary movie. I forget, it might have been It.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Movies, you know, especially around Halloween, because my parents never bought the movies and bought the scary movies. But every year around Halloween, it would be like a new scary movie that come out, and I would always watch it. And then I would see how my brother reacted, and like, no, he doesn't want to watch that. Everyone's freaked out, like, oh, he's going to kill me or whatever. But in my head, at a young age, and like, I don't know why, but like, I wanted to befriend the monster. And I feel like if I befriend it, he won't hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a smart kid. I think that's a really good strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know why I
Right.
do that. So I think, and then more specifically, the clown stuff. Like, oh man, I don't even know. I think again, like at a younger age, I loved the circus, and I loved seeing the clowns. I just thought they were just so. I don't know. It's just one of those things. They were just like, I don't know if it was like a celebrity. It was like looking at a celebrity.
Sure.
And then getting older and like kind of like realizing what it actually is. Like, oh, it's this guy who's probably depressed and like does cocaine, paints his face, and like makes other people laugh. And you're like, wow, that's really interesting. You know, you just never know. But the clown, the aesthetic, I like it. I don't know. I really, it's kind of sexy. But it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that might be one of the first times I think anyone has ever referred to clowns as kind of sexy.
Right.
They are kind of
Kinda
sexy in a way.
yeah.
And I'm dressing up as
In
a
a way,
clown
they kind
for
of are
Halloween.
sexy.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, scary, sexy. It's like kind of things that like I want to be. You know, I like, you know, I think it's cool to be like kind of sexy, kind of creepy,
Right.
or maybe like really creepy, but like kind of sexy. It kind of like makes you feel confused about your own sexuality or like
Yeah.
what's going on here.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
dig it. I like it.
Absolutely.
So, Buggy, I have a question for you. So, you know, unfortunately, I did not know about you until I got an opportunity about, what was it, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and saw you wrestle Allie Parker, Quintessential Pro Wrestling event. And the first thing that stood out to me, because, I mean, just to tell you a little bit about myself, I love horror. Horror as a genre is my thing. And I saw this beautiful woman walk out with a Chucky doll. A good guy doll, to be exact. And I was like, that's a freaking good guy doll. Oh my gosh, it's Chucky. I was like freaking horror geeking out. And I'm like,
Yay.
and then the cool thing is you used the Chucky doll essentially as like an active prop / manager. And then, you know, I further started delving in and looking at things you've done before in the past. And wow, I was like, you took it to a whole new level. What was the inspiration behind using the Chucky good guy doll?
The inspiration. Well, the first time I ever even thought about bringing him to the ring was when I was under contract with WWE. Actually, I've had that doll for gosh, I don't even know how long. Maybe 10 years now. It wasn't. It was a gift. And it had nothing to do with wrestling. It wasn't like, oh, here you go, use this somehow. It's just a friend of mine thought that I would love it, and he was right, you know. So when I moved out there to Florida from California, I took my Chucky, I took my Pee-wee doll, I took a couple, you know, my creepy stuffed animals, and just, you know, my friends, you know, my friends. So when I was in contract, at NXT, we would have what they called a kind of like an improv class, like a practice your character kind of day, and do a monologue or do a promo and that kind of thing, and just kind of play around with different characters. And it was kind of like whatever you want to do, show us what you got kind of thing.
Right.
So I was talking to who's known as Judas, or more popularly known as Luchasaurus here in SoCal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We were signed at the same time. We were trained by the Ballards, and so we kind of like, we were friends out there. We were like, we have this idea. We want to be creepy. Okay, what do we do? Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do that. Oh, I have this idea. Maybe we can use my Chucky doll somehow. And that was the first time I brought him into class. I don't remember what we did. I think we did something like, I don't know, like some kind of demonic, bringing him to life, or some kind of, you know, weird thing that we did. And that was the first time I ever and they loved it. They were like, yes, all about it. Let's do more of that. And then unfortunately, you know, the eating disorder and the treatment center and like that kind of, my Chucky days were put on hold. They were at a standstill.
Right.
So So then eventually I moved back here, took some time off. Then I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep going with this Chucky thing because it was so over there. So let's try it over in, the NGs. So, and he was my little buddy. And the more I used him, the more ideas I got. And the crowd loves it and I love it. And it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's a brilliant interaction.
Thank you.
It is. It really is. And it's so funny, too, that you would, bring up Luchasaurus, which is another, brilliant, macabre idea. And
yeah,
it's just great to see, that, I guess for lack of a better word, horrorgasm that's being brought into.
Definitely a horrorgasm.
Yeah. Because
yes.
it's great because horror and professional wrestling go hand in hand. If you think about it, it just fits perfectly.
Right.
And
totally.
And you did a great job too. We were there for the Impact tapings, and the story that was being told in the 3-man or 3-woman tag team match, the Battle of the Souls. There for,
oh yeah, oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
Oh, it looked like it was a blast.
It looked great. One of the highlights of the show.
Yeah, and just the way that for that particular match they did the all red ring lighting. It just the tone was set beautifully, and it was wonderful to see you get that opportunity to be a part of that because it was an important story that was being told too for the for Allie's soul. Which, if you just think about those words, it's like that's the best thing about pro wrestling is when you have these stories that you can tell that are macabre and crazy and over the top, but no one in the end is really, dying or getting hurt or, it's reflective of our society and our angst and our paranoias, and wrestling needs to go there. So with that kind of wonderful transition that I just threw out there, you did bring up the eating disorder, and I know that, speaking about society's fears and problems and anxieties, where does it go back in your life to where it first comes about, and then how does that transition into NXT and it, becoming a struggle again with you?
Well, it's been something I think kind of started in high school. Well, the anxiety for whatever reason happened at an earlier age, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, a lot in middle school, and I just didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And so I was experimenting with cutting, with self-mutilation. In middle school, it was like a freaking kid, and then the eating, it kind of went from that, like kind of like just taking it out on yourself is how I really coped with things. And I think it turned into or developed into using food more so in high school, and I just became obsessed with this image that if I only looked like this, life would be easier, or if I only looked like how this girl looks, I would feel love or happiness or complete. Or it was always me chasing this idea of what I needed to be, or this image of then I'll be happy, or then I'll be I'll feel whatever. And then it just got worse and worse. The first time I was treated, I was actually 18. I got help from a local eating disorders specialist, I guess. I went to an outpatient treatment program where I learned a lot. That was my first experience of like meeting other girls with the same problem.
Right.
And it was an all female treatment center, outpatient, and I would go, a couple times a week, check in. I think it was maybe Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday for a few hours, kind of like going to school, like 8 to 4 or something like that.
Right.
And I learned so much, and that was around the time where I just started getting to wrestling. And so here I am, starving myself, and it's like I want to be, this stick figure person. I wanted to, disappear or not be seen, or maybe be seen, and going through a lot of different emotions. And then wrestling was, came into my life around that same time, and I tried to focus on, I want to be strong. I don't want to be skinny. I don't want, I need to learn how to take care of myself so that I could be a strong competitor, a strong athlete, so that I could get in the ring and perform my best as my best self, be an athlete, be strong. So that really helped me get out of that sick-minded thinking.
Right.
And for a while, for a few years, I did pretty good. So I was about 18, 19 then when I was going through that first treatment center, and then I was doing pretty good as far as recovery goes. And then I got signed, moved to Tampa when I was 22.
Yeah.
And then a few months into training, people talk about like it's a 24-hour job, and they're not kidding. And it's not only physical, but it's mental.
Right.
It really takes a certain type of person, and I'm convinced that it really takes a certain person for that kind of environment.
Right.
And I think I was so young, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into really, or maybe I had an idea, but it was just so much more overwhelming for me at the time. And it was my first time moving away from my family. I didn't really know anybody out there, maybe one or two of the other wrestlers. And I didn't hold on to those coping mechanisms, those coping skills. So it was so easy for me to turn to like, oh, I know the solution. I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling heavier than these other girls. Like, oh, I know how to lose weight. You know what I mean? Like my old habits.
Yep.
And then as soon as I think like, okay, maybe if I just do it once in a while, it won't get out of control. I can control it. I got this. And then as soon as, I think that I got this, I quickly realized that I do not have this. And it just spiraled out of control to where I talked to one of the personal trainers out there. I go, hey, I have this problem. What do I do? Like, I have no idea. I can't stop. It's not getting better. It's getting worse and worse every day. I'm fainting, and I don't feel safe driving. But and it was getting to that point.
Yeah.
And so he actually suggested the treatment center. He goes, we are familiar with this treatment center. If you want help, all you have to do is just say, and we'll take care of everything else. And I was so lucky to have that option to do that, and to have that taken care of while I was over there. And then unfortunately I had to look at the other side of the coin and be like, okay, well, I know that if I agree to this, in my head, I felt like I was seen as a liability.
Right.
So it's like, I will probably lose my job if I agree to do this. But if I don't agree to do this, and I feel like maybe I could do it on my own, I might lose my life or be injured or, hurt myself even more to where it's too late for help. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to put everything else on hold and really take care of this problem that just got out of control.
And was it how long was the decision-making process for you?
To go over to the treatment center?
Yeah. Was it something that you just clicked in a gut feeling of, I got to take advantage of this? Or was it something that you seriously had to go, oh boy, my career versus my health?
Right. Yeah. I think it might have been a couple days. I think I talked to the personal trainer one day, and then I think the next day I was like, okay, I have to do this. So it was pretty quick.
Did any of the other, students at that time, wrestlers, colleagues, I guess, did anyone have any inclination that this was going on, or no?
No idea. I don't think they had any idea because when I came back from treatment, because girls would disappear, people would disappear, and nothing is said. Nobody shared. It's like they're gone, and then people kind of have their ideas. But I came back and I told them where I was, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, of course." And I think it's a 24-hour job, and everyone's focused on bettering themselves and focused on their stuff, and their life, and their character, and their career. That it's hard to to really notice and really pick up on things like, oh, I wonder if that person's okay, and if they were, I don't know if I was in a place to even notice if they would, or I would definitely play it off. There was no way I would share how sick I was with anyone else, because you don't want to be seen as the weak link.
Right.
So I think I might have played it off while I could, but of course everyone, when I came back, they were so happy that I got help and that I was looking better and hoping the best for me and just really positive.
And in that time when you were down there in NXT, did you make any friends that you're still friends with today, being that it was such a short period? Did you bond with anyone?
Yeah, I was lucky enough. Me and Paige were tag team partners for a long time when we were in there. And once in a while, we'll say hi or like a Instagram post or something like that. Charlotte?
Did you really quick on with Paige, when she was going through her problems with some of the worst things that you can have happen is that the internet leaks and everything with the videos and pictures and stuff. Did you think about reaching out to her and just saying like I'm here for you or anything like that, since that could be something that it can really put you emotionally through the ringer, and you never know if... Yeah,
big time. Well, her and I at that point had lost touch.
Okay.
But I would ask, the other girls, how's she doing? What's going on with that? And nobody really had an idea. And I didn't feel like it was my place at the time to be, hey, remember me? How's it going? What's all this? Everyone's talking shit about you. What's going on? I didn't want to make it worse at the same time.
Yeah.
But she's a smart girl. She's really strong, smart girl. So I knew that, it would she would make it through it.
And so you did get to then become friends with Charlotte a little bit, right?
Yeah, Charlotte. Oh my gosh, she's such a sweetheart. So she was signed shortly after I had been there. I was probably there maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, and she was just like the most positive little ray of sunshine. And I go, oh my God, I love this girl. She was so sweet. Knowing that my family was in California, she over Thanksgiving, she was just like, hey, I know you're your family's so far away. You're more than welcome to spend Thanksgiving at my house. I'm like, you're unbelievable, and I love you. I wish we could get married. We probably could. I don't think she would agree, but she's just that type of girl. You know what I mean? She's just and still will reach out. Same thing, hey, how you doing? Instagram, whatever, that kind of thing. They're busy, so I understand it's really difficult to really keep in touch with that. But she's just killing it. She's come a long way, and I'm just so proud of her. And she's just she's amazing.
Well, that's wonderful to hear too, because that's one of the things that I think that sometimes gets lost is when the character becomes the primary focus, and and Ashley still being able to be Ashley and not Charlotte all the time has got to be a relief for her. And nice to know that the person that you met is still someone that you can occasionally cross paths with and have a good relationship with. That's wonderful.
She's great.
So it becomes sort of a blessing in disguise then, because of the fact that you went through this and then you decided to take time off from wrestling, and now you're in school and you're studying to help the other people who are dealing with eating disorders. What brought around that thought process, and what is it that you want to ultimately end up doing and giving back?
Well, I was inspired really to help others because I was helped so much. It sounds so cheesy when I say it out loud, but it's true, it sounds like, oh, come on.
Right.
But when I was 18, I met an amazing nutritionist who taught me so much. And then at the treatment center when I was in Florida, same thing. It's like there's a level of compassion. It's not just like, here, eat this, don't eat that, do this. There's a connection that you make, especially when the nutritionist or dietitian has gone through what you've gone through.
Right.
There's like a level of understanding where it's like, I would much rather, as a patient in a treatment center, I'm more inclined to listen to someone who's been through it. Whereas like if this other nutritionist or dietitian is like, okay, well, you got an eating disorder, so do this. And it's like, maybe they don't like grasp entirely, or maybe they like lack the proper empathy because they haven't been through it.
Right.
And so I've had friends of mine and family members, say like, hey, this could be a really good thing, since you've been through it, you could help other people. And I kind of got a little taste of that going to these meetings, similar to like AA, NA. They also have ABA or OA for eating disorders.
Right.
And they have, sponsors, I guess, or like a food sponsor, and kind of like a food buddy. Where you call up them on the phone and you're like, hey, this is what I did, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow, just that accountability. And so I had a little bit of that, where it's like, yes, I like this community. I love that we could beat this thing together, because I didn't have that. You don't really know it exists, or you don't want to connect with people like that when you're in your disease.
Right.
But it's such a great gift to have that community, and so I think I feel like I've been there. I've seen the ugly side. I know all the tricks. So like if I see a patient and I'm like, don't lie to me, bitch. I've been there. I've done everything that you did.
Mm-hmm.
I know, you know what I mean? Like I know the signs. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like so hopefully that helps the trust. It's like, I'm not better than you, but I've gone through this and I could help you.
Right.
So that was it's like, I would really love to do that, just to give back to the community, because, why not?
And you are learning to cook and bake. So have you ever thought, just theoretically, once you've kind of gotten out of school, gotten your degree, and in the process of giving back, maybe doing something like a cookbook that would incorporate your actual story and be almost like a self-help guide, and, give actual recipes and stuff to kind of help people kind of find that focus and guidance?
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but that's a good idea. I've been asked about like writing a book or like telling my story and that kind of thing, and that just seems like so like, nah, like that's what adults do. Like that's what maybe when I'm like older. I know I'm like pushing 30 over here, and I'm just like, I just feel like I'm like, nah, I'm not old enough. But yeah, you never know. Maybe a cookbook, maybe like an bio cookbook, something like that. I would love to just like share my story. But then again, I'm very open about it online. I love talking to whoever wants to message me and help them and just talk to them and share each other's stories, and then hopefully get strength from that. So that's where I'm at right now, where it's like, hey, hit me up, email or social media or that kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, the reaching out part, but actually like writing a book. And I don't know if I'm there yet, but that's a really good idea. So if I do it, don't expect a paycheck or anything. Right?
No, you know what? Because it's your story. I mean, it's my thought, but it's your story, and that's, I'm
just gonna name it. I did this book. I wasn't inspired by anybody to do this.
Yeah.
It's all my idea. That's the title.
Just come back and make sure you promote it on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
just want some baked goods.
And outside of learning to cook and bake, I really love the idea that you sing loudly and poorly in your car.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't everybody?
I was doing that today.
Doesn't everybody? Everybody does that.
All right. So what's your go-to song right now?
Okay, this is really embarrassing because it's so like not my cool image. Like, So today I had a little trip, and I was blasting Cardi B.
Oh,
I like it.
Channeling your
I
inner
like
Cardi
it
B.
like that. Don't hate.
No,
Right.
we was about to join in.
Me and Chucky just rocking out a Cardi B.
That's
I
so
hope you guys
awesome.
can do that.
So I have a question then. Do you ride with Chucky, or does Chucky ride with you? I mean, in the car. I'm just curious because that's fucking amazing.
No, yeah. Well, I strap him down in his child protective seat.
Oh, that's
No,
awesome.
I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I was getting excited. I was like, yes.
Yeah. Or put him in the passenger seat just like with a helmet on. It's like, officer, it's cool.
Right.
With a helmet.
Have you ever
You won't
tried
get
that,
hurt.
like going to the grocery store and then putting him in, the kid compartment
The
of the
baby
basket and just straight riding around in there? Obviously
No,
looking
not
normal.
yet.
Oh, you got to do it.
I but if I do, like, I'll put him in there proper and then get some free samples and please one more for my son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's hungry.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
and
Yeah.
and please find
Change his diaper in
Yeah.
the bathroom.
Yes.
find a mother in the store who has an actual kid who's being a dick to their kid, and just
just roll up next to them.
Yeah, roll up next to him.
Don't
and
even say
be
nothing.
Be the perfect mom to this doll.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Probably whisper to Chucky. He's like, "Do you like that little boy right there? Do you want
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one?" And start reciting the chant.
They start selling some of those Buggy Nova starter kits for Halloween.
Yeah, you can become a Halloween character with the look and the Chucky doll, and yeah.
Oh, I'd love it.
So
That'd be so sweet.
I do have a question. I was kind of looking at your Twitter account, and I saw a picture, and I wasn't quite sure if it was you. Did you dress up in, I guess, cosplay as the female gremlin?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Totally.
you have fulfilled a dark fantasy of mine. I just want to tell you because growing up, because growing up seeing Gremlins 2, I'm sure I wasn't the only male that says, "Is it just me, or is that kind of does that female gremlin look kind of hot?"
We learned something new.
I'm just saying. I mean,
It's the same, like, it's that creepy sexy.
yeah, it was kind of like, it's
man.
kind of sexy, but yours looked
Yeah.
a hell of a lot more sexier than the, I guess it was probably what Jim Henson gremlin puppet thing that they used. So
Thank you.
you're quite
Thank
welcome.
you.
With you being in California in the LA area, are you someone who is aware of Halloween Town, and have you ever visited the establishment?
Halloween Town.
Oh yeah,
I've never.
Heard of
I don't
it.
think I've ever heard of it. What do you mean? Is it
it's
like
it's in Burbank, and it's a shop. They have three decent sized shops on the main drag in downtown, not downtown Burbank, but it's, I believe Rob Zombie had some kind of hand in making this a reality, and they sell all the macabre, things you could even think of or dream of. And you can look them up, HalloweenTown.com. It's something that I know when I lived in that area, it was beautiful to go to. And you can get, one of the coolest things is you can get that type of stuff that is kind of like that, either like the Haunted Mansion theme or, the sexy cool stuff. It's a very, very cool and interesting stuff to, for all your one-stop, horror needs. So
yeah, for sure, for my house decoration.
exactly.
I would love to. I would love to visit there.
That's what me and a lot of my friends will go to that place and get, things that you can keep up all year. Because every household should keep Halloween alive all year long.
Hell yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Just have spare limbs like throughout the living room, like a
Eyeballs.
voodoo head dangling from the lamp.
Yeah.
There's nothing
I love it.
There's nothing like keeping I like to keep a severed arm those fake arms in the
Hanging out
trunk.
the trunk, yeah.
Yeah, and just in case you do get pulled over and a cop wants to go in your trunk, the first thing he sees are fake body parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, you you have to have that macabre sense of humor with all the things that go on in life, and you're a great example of someone who is taking the right steps. You're still out there wrestling on your own terms, which is great. And we definitely want you, if you can give out any information of your social media where people can contact you, that would be great here, so that people could reach out to you if they have any questions, especially about dealing with eating disorders, and where your future is headed also in terms of wrestling.
Yeah. Well, follow me on Facebook, search Buggy Nova, and the Instagram, Buggy Nova, of course. And then on Twitter, I'm Buggy Nova, but I have 3 A's at the end of my name because Buggy Nova was stolen from me. The original, my original, spelling. I couldn't get it back after I moved back from Florida. So I was like, fuck you guys. And then I just put Buggy Nova.
Yeah, that works.
So yeah, message me. I would love to hear from anybody struggling. It's like you guys said, it's better in the community, and to be alone or to feel alone is just the worst possible thing. And my goal really is to just take the taboo off of the eating disorders, or the even the cutting, taking it out on yourself.
Behavior.
There's so many more options. You don't have to do that. You don't have to feel alone, and you don't have to hurt yourself. And there's hope. There really is.
Yeah. And we just want to make sure that people know that if they are having any kind of eating disorders, go online. NationalEatingDisorders.org is a great place to start. There's a helpline, 800-931-2237. Don't be afraid. If you are listening to this, don't be afraid to go out and get help, because you're a perfect example. You're a wonderful person. You are, so sweet and so nice. And to think that the world would have been potentially robbed of you and your personality by, not getting the help. That's a sombering thought. And I'm sure that there's, probably thousands of people who struggle with this every day, and probably across the world too. So if you are listening to this overseas, and you need, somewhere to turn, and reach out to Buggy, because she'll, be able to at least give you some guidance and a place to start, or at least someone to confide in.
Right. Please do. Door's always open. Or inbox. My inbox is always open. And that's so sweet of you to say that. Thank you for your words. That's so very sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have any shows or anything up and coming, Buggy?
Yeah, I have my next one is in May. I think it's my next one. Not for a while, but AWS, check it out. I'm in a 5-on-5 where it's 5 women versus 5 men. I don't want to say, women are bigger, better, stronger, faster, but
they're smarter.
It's gonna be a good fight.
Awesome.
And are we finally gonna get that match between you and Joey? Because Joey Ryan, I kind of saw some smack talk that you're throwing out there.
Yeah.
And
with Joey?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you kind of go back with
Joey.
Yeah, I know you go back with him a little bit, and I think that Chucky's dick's got more power than Joey's dick. So.
Oh yeah. I've been wanting to flip Joey with Chucky's dick.
Oh.
We'll see if that happens.
Hello.
That's awesome.
Get a hands-on experience.
Well, thank you, Buggy Nova, for taking the time to hang with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and we will look.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. And until next time.
See you soon.
Vegas Bad Boys, a podcast, and we'll be back in a moment.
Hey guys, I know that sometimes here, well, all the time here on the show, we give shit to Raja.com for, their predictions and the love that King Lucky has of reading Raja.com's information. But they have something that's really cool that is coming up here on May 23rd. Now, if you're coming in for StarCast that weekend, for the 24th, 25th, 26th, Memorial Day weekend, 23rd is Thursday. And Thursday, right here in Vegas at the FSW Arena, which is 6035 Harrison Drive in Las Vegas, there is a show, the first show, being done by Raja.com. And it's going to feature some great wrestling. Justin Gabriel, Damian Drake, Mikey O'Shea, Chris Bay. There are going to be a lot of great, young, talented, thirsty wrestlers, guys you've heard of, on this card. It's going to be great. It is We Are One. It's May 23rd. All ages, $32 are the ticket prices, but you can upgrade to VIP for $15 more. The VIP doors will be at 6:30 p.m. and the main doors at 7 p.m. We urge you to go down there. It supports local wrestling because a lot of these guys are local and it has a tie-in with FSW. But also, it is Raja.com's first ever live wrestling event. Now, these guys have been around for a while. So please go ahead, support them, help them out, and definitely get your tickets now. You can go online at Raja.com and check out the ticket information. And we hope to see you guys there.
Now back to Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting.
Welcome back to Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. We're still here, and we're about to, the shows that's been on this past week. I know we talked about Raw. That's when they did the whole wild card. We didn't talk about SmackDown the following day, so maybe you guys have something to say about that. Other TV programming that was happening during the week. I got a chance to see Impact Wrestling, which I thought was great. Hey, it was the return of RVD back on Impact Wrestling again, the main TV show outside of the pay-per-view that he was doing, and that was also a phenomenal match as they are out there in Toronto. So great TV there, a lot going on. Anything that stand out to you guys this past week? Any TV show that you watch, or I should say wrestling TV show that you watched that caught your attention? Boom.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and say one of the things that I definitely was into was seeing one of the local guys, Shaggy from SFW,
okay,
on the Hollywood Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Pretty fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's the thing. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is definitely giving opportunities to a lot of local people. So that's a nice little thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the means to look up and see that, product, that's something that's pretty good to watch. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty well done. And that itself is, it's a little obscure off the radar here.
Sure.
But it is great. Impact's going in a great direction.
It is.
Ring of Honor, same thing. They're doing a hell of a job. Their shows have been solid. So, you've got some wonderful talent, and it's just been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. From this week, if I reflect.
Okay.
We're talking WWE here.
Okay.
SmackDown this past week was, I think it was a pretty forgivable week of TV.
Okay. All right.
Even with Daniel Bryan and Rowan winning the tag team championship.
Not feeling it?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
But you know what? they had to put the tag team titles on somebody, and they couldn't put it on the Usos, so they did the best thing that they could do, which is to put it on Daniel Bryan and Rowan.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the show, you had the triple threat match, Kofi and Sami Zayn, which I thought Sami actually cut a very good promo, and we talked about it last week where he's cutting some phenomenal promos and just running.
I like how he comes out like like a face, with just excitement and dancing and all that, and then just goes right into him back to heel.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
I don't like when he comes out flopping all over the floor, but
why not? That's him. That's
I
Sami.
do get into when he starts the promo, but when he comes and flops all on the floor, it's like, come on, bro. But anyway.
That's ska, man. You don't know about ska?
Yeah, no, I know about ska.
Right.
A lot of times you don't end up on your back flopping like a fish.
All right.
But I just think overall, we had a Lars sighting. Jesus Christ.
By the way,
knows
speaking
how
of
much
speaking of Lars, did I read recently that I guess he finally decided to apologize for some things that
he did.
Yeah,
he did. He made a Jesus Christ. I'll tell you.
I guess that's a topic for another day.
No,
right?
no. We're gonna open it up right now.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, they talked about him going through this bout of depression and anxiety, like right before Mania, and he was supposed to do the program with John Cena.
Okay.
At Mania.
Yeah.
Now looking at it, I think with all this information coming out, WWE tried to avoid this bomb because the information was already out there.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's more and more coming out. I mean, he made comments about Stephanie. He made comments about other things and race. And I mean, it was just off the top flippant stuff that he was just, saying. And, he probably believed in it at that point, 2012, right? And now you get into the real world where you get hired by a company that has the diversity and it's a global brand. I don't think he ever thought this stuff was going to see the light of day.
Right.
And now it has.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily judge him on that. I think it's important that, it's talked about, and it is important that he came out and gave his apology.
Right.
But I didn't like him before this.
I know. I know that, yeah.
And it's funny to me that all this came out and then his program got squashed, but now he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's Vince's new shiny toy. I don't know what Drew McIntyre did, but anyway, Lars is the new toy. Michaels.
You're an idiot.
Oh, boy.
So I think that it was honestly kind of refreshing that they put Daniel Bryan into a tag team. And here's why. He's been gone since Mania with an undisclosed injury. So what do you do? What do you do with the guy when he just got done recovering from a concussion? Oh, wait, that's right. They're not saying what his injury was. It was another concussion. Anytime that they choose to not talk about anything to do with someone's condition, it has to do with their head. It's just how it is. I mean, Jeff Hardy needed a complete knee replacement. Yeah. They were completely upfront and honest about that.
Yeah.
Right.
But
well, that's because he got injured, and that's just see him and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
keep going.
So
Sam.
no. So all that I'm going to say about it is this: if you're in a tag team, then it will help to lighten the load that you have to carry. Obviously.
Yeah.
So now, if there are longer lasting effects of the injury that Daniel Bryan sustained, especially given his past history, then rather than them just, not utilizing him, which they, easily could have done, they could have kept him off TV for even longer.
True.
but I like the fact that they're at least doing something with him at this point. And heel Daniel Bryan is a fucking promo god.
Oh, he's money.
He is absolute money.
Yeah.
So any time that you can find a way to get him on my TV, I'm all for it. If he's got to be in a tag team, good. Especially because, keep in mind, wild card rule bullshit aside,
Right.
all the tag teams went to Raw.
Yeah.
Seemingly. So, I mean, what? You got Heavy Machinery. Really?
Stakes and weights, baby.
Shit. But in all seriousness, that was the biggest takeaway that I had from TV this week was they're finally they found a way to bring Daniel Bryan back onto my TV, which is a positive, and you know they're helping to bolster a division that was depleted.
I got a bigger question for you. Will they defend those championships in Jeddah?
No, you know what? I don't know if they're going to have any tag team matches or anything down there because they're going to need as many people if they're doing 50 again.
Yeah.
In the Rumble.
Battle Royal, yeah.
And then they might need someone to wheel Goldberg or Undertaker back.
Jesus Christ. I'm actually excited about Goldberg versus Undertaker. I'm sure it should have happened 15 years ago, right?
You fucking would be.
I am. The mark in me says that I am excited for this match. I don't care if it lasts 10 minutes or, 5 minutes. The intros will probably be longer than the actual match itself.
That's what I was going to ask. What's going to be longer, the intros or the match?
Goldberg hopefully comes out from the back. The pyro comes. There's no way to do his intro without the pyro. Come on now.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're getting Saudi money for it, so
This is
they're
true.
going to have.
I better have some pyro.
60 mil.
If they're getting that money, right? And then Undertaker's entrance is going to be like 7 to 8 minutes long. So the match itself, 5 minutes.
Right.
But I'm excited for it. So.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And Hunter and Orton, right?
Yeah. That's going to be a good one. I can watch those two any day.
So it's looking to be a good event.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Let's get to the sad news.
Yeah, that's where I was about to go next. We a lot of times during the weekend, during the days, we're constantly text messaging each other different ideas, sometimes funny things that come to mind to help expand Vegas Bad Boys of podcasting to all of our listeners there. But Matt, when you sent out that text, which was the first acknowledgement that I saw coming out of London, Silver King had passed away in the ring, and it was tough to watch. It really was tough to watch. When I saw first there was a video, I'm like, oh, this, don't tell me this is actually something that was recorded, and of it actually happening. And as I'm watching it, I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, you can tell that something is happening. And the first thing that was going in my mind is, why isn't the ref or trying to, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the ref could say, hey, I was doing something or I didn't know or whatever the case. But from how it looked, it seemed like that there was some confusion, and instead of really trying to figure out what was going on, let's just continue. And when you think about it, you go, this could have been those minutes that we were using to finish the show, which I get it. The show must continue. When you saw something was going on there, that's when you kind of go out of my role of continuing this to, I need to now jump into, and I don't even know if he was trained to know what to do in situations like that, but even if he wasn't, something could have been done to say, hey, let's stop this and let's get this on instead of going through another 2 minutes of trying to finish the match. And this is just very sad. I'll be honest with you. I'm familiar with his work with the movie that he was in with, was it Jet Black?
Jack Black, yeah.
Nacho Libre.
Libre.
Okay. So I'm familiar, but I didn't follow his career. But I tell you, anytime something happens to any wrestler in a ring, it comes back home, because that is, wrestling is what I enjoy, what we enjoy, and I think it affects us all. So I'm just going to I'm going to pass it over to you, Matt, and you see what you have to say about that. If any of the other guys have anything to say, feel free. And that's that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very it's a hard situation to watch.
Right.
It really was. I think, unfortunately, when you're the eyes at that point, because obviously now it's just something that we're seeing, we're not there.
Right.
It's already has happened.
Exactly.
So now we get to pick any type of theories or elements.
Exactly.
Or,
right.
It's so easy to go, oh, why didn't they do this? Why they should have done that? And the referee is one of the first things that does come to mind. Is he, I guess the striking thing was that he never approached him while he was down on the mat.
Right.
He vaguely approached him, but for the most part, he just kept a distance.
Yeah.
Which was really odd. That's very strange. The next thing was Hoovy was the one he was wrestling, and Juventud, he did his best to do something.
Yeah.
But if the referee, which I don't know, again, we don't know these people. Did he know Spanish? Was it a lack of communication?
Right.
With English and Spanish, but Hoovy's in the ring.
Yeah.
So Hoovy would have been able to communicate something.
Sure.
Possibly. Or Hoovy could have gone maybe out of the ring, gone to the back.
Yeah.
And then it takes forever for people to even get down there.
Yeah.
Which was another strange thing. So the question is, with that, who was there ringside? Who was there backstage? Do they have monitors backstage in a situation like this? Because it's, an independent organization doing this. And then, you have it. Apparently, it took 4 minutes for an ambulance to get there. There was no paramedics on site.
Yeah.
Which is another very odd thing.
It is.
Especially if you think about, if you run a show, if you're in an auditorium, you have to take out insurance on things.
I'm surprised that wasn't a requirement.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so weird. So then I'm going to loop back to what we've talked about before, and that is unions. Listen, the one thing about unions is that, for instance, SAG, if we go on a set, we know there is a paramedic there. Absolutely.
Right.
Required.
Sure.
The union makes sure of it. Even on non-union projects that I've worked on when we were doing game shows and stuff, you had to have a paramedic.
Yeah.
And a lot of it ties into the fact that if something did happen, there are a lot of people who could be held liable.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it blows my mind that, even without a union, you would want a paramedic around.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason that, his family can't turn around and sue them.
Yeah.
For not being able to take care of this situation in a timely manner.
Right.
Which, like you pointed out, could have been the time between life and death.
Exactly.
So it's a horrible situation all around, but a situation that might just start a little conversation.
Yeah.
Like we're doing here.
Exactly.
That might allow, some people who run shows to just take a little more time in thinking about these little things. And I'll tell you, a paramedic, it's a life or death situation, but some people just will not bring that on because it requires money. It's an extra cost.
Yeah.
So And this is the other thing too. When that whole idea of wrestling and sports entertainment, when sports entertainment knocked out wrestling, now you're not required by the state athletic commission to have all these things in place.
Right.
So you don't know if, in this case, and this is England too. So that's a whole nother layer.
Right.
That we don't know what their rules and regulations are over there. So,
right.
It just becomes a thing of, at this point was it something that medically maybe he shouldn't even have been in the ring?
That's
maybe
true.
he shouldn't have been medically cleared.
Right.
So, there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's going to be a lot of speculation. Even when the autopsy and the results come back, there'll probably be even more speculation.
Yeah.
We'll see if this becomes something that changes things or just becomes something that in the fast-moving world just goes on.
I will tell you this, as much as we talk about the things with WWE, that things that sometimes just doesn't make sense what's happening, one thing I could tell you is that when I watch the refs in the ring at a live show or on TV, it seems like that they're always on point. And they would quickly drop on the mat and they would talk to them, and it makes sense.
There's one thing that they still need to do.
Okay.
And this is, when I found this out, this is kind of a startling thing.
Sure.
So, WWE, there's paramedics around.
Of
there's
course.
ambulances around.
Well, I've seen that, yeah.
Right? The one thing that can save, a life and death situation, the referees are not certified in CPR.
Well, that's interesting.
So that's one step that, this could be something that, they take
right
and just implement that, because we can even go a step further and say, hell, especially if you're working for the WWE or one of the companies, why not have the boys get certified in CPR as well?
Wow. Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot.
True.
It's a day, it's a 6-hour class.
Yeah.
So because that actually could be the one thing between a guy dying and a guy, being resuscitated enough.
Yeah.
To, and I think in the past, it wasn't really thought about in the old days.
Yeah.
But then I think the other thing after Owen's death, I'm very surprised that none of those steps were taken, because I think the fear is that they didn't want those people in the audience to be traumatized by seeing someone actually compressing a chest.
Sure.
Or doing any life-saving measures.
Right.
So, hopefully now we can kind of get past the whole, it's just a show, because even if an actor has a heart attack on stage, people are going to, listen, being an actor, I don't know if there's ever been a situation I've ever been in on a live stage production where there's been someone certified to do CPR.
Right.
It's something you really never think about. And anyone can, there was a story I remember, and I can't remember who it was, but there was a stand-up comedian who made a joke on stage about having a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And within seconds, he actually had a heart attack and died on stage.
No way.
Yep, because no one realized that he was actually having a heart attack and dying because he had just joked about it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
It is.
You never think of these things happening. It can happen, and hopefully that this will take a bigger blanket, and not only the wrestling world, but other venues and entertainment venues. There'll be more awareness, and maybe we should have someone who's at least certified, who's like a stage manager or a bell keeper, a bell timer.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't do it with the refs, do it with the bell keepers. The timekeepers and stuff. So.
Sin City, any final words, man?
Not really, man.
Okay.
It's cast a dark cloud above our sport that we all love.
Yeah.
And definitely, well wishes go out to the family and friends of Silver King.
You don't have to really know them to be affected by it when you're involved in that community. Any last words, King Lucky?
No, I just I really feel sad for.
Well, get back on the mic.
I really feel sad for, all parties involved. It was definitely tough to watch.
Yeah.
And as far back as I can remember, I've never seen, I've heard about it, but I've never seen that kind of thing happen. So,
Right.
My condolences to his family.
No doubt. Well, look, we're gonna go ahead and start ending things. Any announcements we have for Vegas Bad Boys? I know we have StarCast. Well, we're about a week or two out.
Yeah, about 11 days out.
Okay. So with StarCast,
yeah,
what I want is for any listeners who are going to be going to StarCast, you're going to look us up in the vendors room. Okay, you'll see us. We will have very clear logo labeling. The branding. You'll recognize the logo.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a little raffle.
Okay.
Not on Friday only. Not on Saturday only.
Mm-hmm.
But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Boom.
Awesome.
Okay. So this is what you're going to need to do. If you are subscribed to us, show us your phone. Show us you're subscribed. You're going to get a raffle ticket. If you subscribe to our YouTube station, show us your phone, show us you subscribe, we'll give you another raffle ticket. So you can get 2 raffle tickets right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you say to us at the table that you love to have an oh shit moment in honor of Mr. Street, okay? So you say to us, hey guys, oh shit. Okay? Simple as that.
Yeah.
Say, oh shit. We'll give you 2 extra tickets.
Nice.
So we're going to be raffling off $100 Amazon gift cards.
All right.
So you're going to get a chance, potentially, to have 4 tickets in there. Now, if you're with someone who doesn't subscribe to us, doesn't listen to us, all they have to do is, right there at the table, subscribe.
That easy.
And if they subscribe to the podcast, they get a ticket. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, they get a ticket. And if you clue them in and they know to say, oh shit to us, they'll go ahead and get 2 more tickets.
That's awesome.
So you'll get a chance to go ahead and win yourself an Amazon gift card. You don't have to be present when we draw it. We'll have your information and we'll text you. You can come by and get it at a later point. Or if you're already out of Vegas and you're just visiting, heading back, we'll certified mail it to you. But that's going to be, something that, hey, listen, it costs you guys nothing.
Wait a minute. Did the finance guy approve this?
Well, that's why Street, we're going with the oh shit, because as soon as he hears about this, he's going to be going, oh shit.
That's awesome.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show. Again, we always want to remind everyone to go to our social media sites and get all the latest information. But the most important thing to do is to subscribe to our podcast, which we just included Stitcher and TuneIn platforms also for our podcast. So if you know other people who uses them, let them know about us, and just make sure you hit that subscribe button. Until then, stay tuned and thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for checking out that video. If you liked what we did there, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new here, slap that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you can be a part of the notification squad. Follow us on social media at Vegas Bad Boys with a Z on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And until next time, we will see you in the next video.